You've been lied to. You were told hitting a six-figure salary was the finish line, the golden ticket to the American dream. But right now, in 2026, crossing that $100,000 threshold isn't a sign of wealth. It is a mathematical trap designed to keep you permanently exhausted and secretly broke. If you finally hit that mark, but feel poorer than you did 5 years ago, you aren't crazy. You are experiencing the brutal reality of a rigged system. Let's look at two guys. We'll call them Alex and Dan. Both are 32, live in a mid-sized U.S. city, and just landed promotions, bumping their salaries to exactly $100,000 a year. They went to college, climbed the corporate ladder, and traded their 20s for a desk chair. But their lives look entirely different. Dan is what society considers a success. He immediately upgrades his lifestyle to match his new tax bracket. He moves into a luxury apartment downtown, leases a $50,000 SUV, and starts buying into the premium mediocre aesthetic. You know exactly what I mean. The $300 dinners that feel obligatory, the boutique gym memberships, the subtle pressure to wear the right brands and take the right vacations. Dan isn't living lavishly like a billionaire. He is just trying to live the upper middle class life he was promised. Yet, despite his massive salary, his credit card balance grows every month. He is stressed, isn't sleeping, and is one missed paycheck away from a financial collapse. Then you have Alex. Alex makes the exact same $100,000, but his net worth is quietly exploding. He isn't living in a cardboard box, and he isn't clipping coupons. He realized that a six-figure salary is no longer a wealth-building tool. It is a massive liability if you do not understand the hidden math of 2026. The psychological difference between Alex and Dan is everything. Dan believes his salary is his wealth. Alex knows his salary is just seed capital. Dan suffers from a lethal combination of lifestyle creep and systemic inflation, driven by the secret shame of high-income earners who feel they must look the part. Let's get into the hard data. Back in the early $2000s, a $100,000 salary meant you were rich. You bought a 4-bedroom house, funded a robust retirement account, and took your family to Hawaii. Today, recent economic data shows that in 12 different states, a $100,000 income officially classifies you as lower middle class. In places like Massachusetts, New Jersey, or California, you need over $110,000 just to hit the ceiling of the lower middle class. To understand why, we have to look at history. People constantly compare today to the stagflation of the 1970s. Back then, inflation was sky high, peaking at 14%, and economic growth was stagnant. But the 1970s had a saving grace. Wages were heavily unionized and often indexed to inflation. When prices went up, paychecks eventually followed. Debt was actually cheaper to inflate away. 2026 stagnation is mathematically different and far more dangerous. We are living in a hyper-financialized K-shaped economy. Here is the exact definition of a K-shaped economy. The economic trajectory splits into two distinct paths. The top line of the K shoots upward for the asset owners. The bottom line of the K plunges downward for the paycheck earners. If your primary source of survival is trading time for a paycheck, you are on the bottom line. It does not matter if that paycheck is $50,000 or $150,000. The cost of basic survival, housing, healthcare, and food has detached from wage growth. The $100,000 you make today has the actual buying power of about $72,000 just a few years ago. Asset prices have surged out of reach for the average worker, benefiting only those who already own them. Then comes the invisible tax of the six-figure trap. When you hit $100,000, you enter a brutal bracket. Your marginal tax rate skyrockets, but you do not qualify for any of the tax loopholes that actual wealthy people use. Let's do the math on Dan's paycheck. Out of his $100,000, federal taxes, state taxes, and FICA immediately strip away roughly $28,000. He is left with $72,000. The median rent for a decent apartment in a major metro area is $2,400 a month. That is almost $29,000 a year, using after-tax money. Add in a $700 car payment, astronomical insurance rates, student loans, and inflated grocery bills. Dan is burning through his entire take-home pay just to maintain a baseline existence. This is the premium mediocrity trap. High-income earners are manipulated into buying premium-priced, average-quality goods to signal a wealth they do not possess. You aren't buying a luxury life. You are paying a massive premium just to avoid looking poor. The system extracts maximum capital from the six-figure worker. You make too much for subsidies, but too little to buy assets at scale. Because Dan spends everything to look the part, he isn't investing. If he invested 20% of his income, compound interest would make him a multimillionaire. Instead, he is compounding debt at a 24% interest rate. The mathematical reality is that inflation compounding against your expenses will always outpace the linear growth of your salary. How do you escape the six-figure trap? You must cross from the bottom of the K-shape to the top. You must stop being a paycheck earner and become an asset owner. You must adopt an asymmetric financial strategy. You must immediately stop treating your salary as an operating budget and start treating it as an acquisition fund. The single most actionable habit you can apply today is implementing the invisible baseline protocol. Here is exactly how it works. When you get a raise or cross that six-figure mark, you artificially freeze your lifestyle at an $80,000 income level. You take the delta, the difference between what you make and your invisible baseline, and you automate it directly into income-producing assets before you ever see it. You do not upgrade the car. You do not upgrade the apartment. You aggressively buy back your freedom. But it goes deeper than saving money. You have to kill the shame associated with not looking rich. The wealthiest people in this country do not drive brand-new luxury SUVs leased at 9% interest. They drive depreciated, reliable cars and hold their equity in the S&P 500 or real estate. Perform a ruthless audit of your expenses. Eliminate every dollar spent on status signaling. Cancel the premium subscriptions, downgrade the gym, and stop buying overpriced dinners. Your goal is not to look rich to people you don't even like. Your goal is to own assets that pay you while you sleep. The math is absolute. You either buy assets or you become the asset that banks and corporations mine for profit. Once you lock down your baseline and stop the bleeding, you might think the next logical step is to hustle harder. You might think you need to immediately start a side business to bridge the gap. That is exactly what the system wants you to do, and it is the biggest mistake you can make. There is a massive psychological trap waiting for you when you try increasing your income outside your 9-to-5. It is a critical problem that will completely vaporize all the money you just saved. If you don't understand it, this entire baseline strategy will fail. You are walking right into a secondary trap engineered to keep you grinding until you burn out. The exact mathematical reason why this happens is fully broken down in my other video, Why Your Side Hustle is Secretly Keeping You Broke. Click the video on your screen right now, and I will show you how to avoid the ultimate trap.